Hello, Dustin from Loony Loomworks here. Today, I'm going to show you how to create simple fabric coasters from your favorite fabric. These are easy to do and take virtually no time at all to complete. Let's get started, shall we? To create these coasters, all you need are two pieces of your favorite fabric, 5 inches by 5 inches. I'm just using simple black cotton fabric, and a 4-inch by 4-inch piece of fleece interfacing. The first thing you're going to do is attach your interfacing to the wrong side of one of your fabric pieces. I went ahead and did this, and I centered it as best as possible in the middle of that piece of fabric. Once you have that done, you're going to want to take your wrong sides of fabric, as in the pieces that you want on the outside are going to be on the inside during this step. You are then going to line them up and then pin or clip them all the way around. Now that you have them clipped, there's a very key aspect of what you're going to want to do here. Due to the fact that we have the inside, or what's going to be on the outside of the coasters on the inside, we're going to need a spot to go ahead and not sew so that we are able to turn it right side out. I like to leave roughly about 2 inches to do this on these coasters. So I'll take my fabric chalk and go ahead and mark a beginning and end spot on the coasters. Don't worry about those marks. No one's going to see them because they will be tucked in on the inside of your weaving, or sewing, excuse me. Now that we've got these clipped together and our birthing hole already marked, we're going to take this over to the sewing machine and sew 1/4 of an inch all the way around the outside of this design. Now that we're at the sewing machine, we're going to want to change our stitch length to a construction stitch length. And then we're going to put in our coaster, and at 1/4 of an inch, we're going to want to start at the second little notch, not the first, because we're going to want to keep that birthing hole open. And then we're going to stitch 1/4 inch all the way around. When we begin, we're going to put it down, and we're going to go just a couple stitches forward, and then reverse stitch just to kind of lock it in, and then we're going to go all the way around. When we get to the end of the corner, we're going to pivot, and then continue 1/4 of an inch all the way around. Now that we're coming to the end here on our original side, we're going to sew up to our first mark, and then when we get to that mark, we're going to stop, we're going to back stitch 2 or 3 times, and then go back forward 2 or 3 times just to lock that in, get it secure. End it, lift up, bring out our sewing, and then trim that excess that we have there. All right, we've got that done. Let's head back over to our table. Now that we're back at our table, let's go ahead and trim off our excess thread from when we were sewing. Whatever means necessary you use completely works. And there we are. We're ready to go ahead and turn this thing inside out. How I like to do it is I like to go ahead and stick my finger inside of the birthing hole that we left. We then take it, and you're not going to want to just shove it through, you're going to want to just kind of roll it. Take your fingers, I take 2 inside, and I take my thumbs, and then just kind of roll it through. Don't force it too much. If you force it too much, you can pop that stitching. And just kind of work it on through, get it in there. It's okay if it balls a little bit, just work with it. Don't use too much force. And there you go. You turn it right side out. Just keep flipping it and moving it and getting it to where you feel comfortable with the amount of force you use. I then take my handy little tool here that I actually use for my weaving, and I'll just kind of stick it in there and kind of work these corners here. You're going to want to kind of get those corners worked out so they're not just these rounded little lumps. You can get them pretty close to nice square quarters there. You just kind of do that all the way around, just to make sure all of your edges are there. And then there you are. It's ready to basically be top seamed and finished. One thing that I really like to do first is I will go ahead and take my birthing hole. As you can see, the fabric in there already kind of rolls down with your birthing hole. So go ahead and let that happen. Just make sure it kind of creates a nice straight line there so it's not all wonky. And there you are. I prefer to go ahead and iron it down just to make sure that everything is nice and flat and even for our top stitching. Now that I have that ironed down, you can pin it or clip it if you want, especially this birthing hole, but it is not necessary. The key thing that you're going to want to keep in mind with this birthing hole is that when you go around with your top stitching, that fabric that creates that birthing hole is caught inside that stitching. Otherwise, this hole will pop open and you're just going to have a whole bunch of issues and it's just not going to look well. So I'm going to go ahead and place a clip right on that edge there, just to kind of help lock it in there as I get it set onto the sewing machine. All right, let's head on back to the sewing machine. Now that we're back at the sewing machine, how I like to do the top stitch is don't forget to set it back to a top stitch length, and we're going to sew about 1/8 of an inch. That way we make sure that it catches that birthing hole flaps. So get your machine set up, go ahead and put it on down, and go ahead and do the same as before of a couple stitches forward and then a couple stitches backwards just to help lock it in, and then sew all the way around just as we did when we stuck them together. Now when you come to your corners, if you don't have a complete and total square corner, it is okay to kind of work it with that corner. You don't have to have a perfectly square corner if you don't want. Just make sure you stay about that 1/8 of an inch across so it's nice and cohesive all the way through. And now that we're coming to our end here, we're going to go ahead and go right back over our beginning seam there. And you can go ahead and do 1 or 2 times over it, forwards and backwards, just to help lock it in. There we are. We pull it out from underneath our presser foot, and go ahead and trim our excess. And let's head on back to our table and finish this up. All right, now that we're back at our table, let's go ahead and trim up those extra little lengths of thread from when we were sewing on the front side and back side. Make sure you don't have any lumps or bubbles or however you want to classify them. And there we are. Our coasters are complete, if I can hang on to it. And just like that, we have completed the coaster. Repeat this as many times as you need to go ahead and create as many as you want. I hope this was as fun for you as it was for me. I shall see you next time, and as always, stay loony, and I love you.